to our webinar today. Today we are going to talk about Breeze. We give you a Breeze update here. And the host here, and I'm very excited to have this audience here on the line, we have Andrew Mayer, Rasheed Ajibola, and Markus Bornheim, which are the main presenters here. And we have Kedar from GC Labs here on the webinar to give you an update about Breeze, what's happening in the Breeze environment, and share some best practices around Breeze. My name is Markus Bornheim, and I'm the host here. This is the agenda for today. Session 1, Breeze update. I don't read out the slide. You can read it. And now I'm very excited to give the floor to our first presenter, and it is Andrew Mayer. Andrew, please take it away.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, and thank you for all those who have joined us here today for this update. Some of you may have been on our webinar series from last fall, and we promise we're not going to repeat any information from there. Those calls were all recorded if you want to go back and see what we were talking about back then. We wanted to bring you some new things. What's been happening with Breeze over the last 6 months, or a little bit longer here, and some of it's what's been happening really recently around Breeze. And we thought we'd start off with some of the projects that have been won, just to give you a really overview of some of the successes we've had out there. There's over 700 installations of Breeze worldwide so far, and this is climbing every month. This number is where we had expected to be at this point in 2017. We're seeing dozens of installations going in monthly here, so I expect by the end of the summer to see a lot more happening out there. But there's actually some really interesting applications that are being built. What you probably hear from us talking about use cases all the time. In the Netherlands, we've got a really interesting real-time speech solution that a very large companies employed out there. If you would interested in more information about that real-time speech solution there, please contact us directly here. We can give you some insights of what they're doing. We have a car manufacturer that is taking advantage of what we've labeled here is called ambient context. So this ambient context is information, metadata, things that are happening in line with communication solutions there, and taking advantage of that to be able to make decisions. When do I want to do what? When do I send a signal to somebody, a notification? When or where do I route them based on certain keys that we might be getting in with a conversation, with a communication that's triggered there? Of course, Markus Bornheim, many of you will know him in the public safety arena here, has had great successes with their eCall application solution there. Now in 3 countries. I suggest if anybody's interested in learning more about eCall, and again, inline data transfer, sending that context along with the call here to be able to optimize the experience of the public safety requirements here. Go onto YouTube, look up Markus Bornheim or eCall. You'll certainly find some interesting videos. This is what's interesting about the use case here is the public safety, all public organizations, some of you might be working with those. These are really tough nuts to crack. These are hard to convince to do new things and change and adopt to new technologies here, and this is just a fantastic story that's come out of that. And just recently, or actually happening this year in Germany, we have a large health insurance company that our partner Engelgard, some of you may be familiar with the name there, is deploying within a very large contact center solution there, also Breeze solutions, some of them very customized there for this insurance company. But it's not just Breeze. We also obviously have Oceana, and for most of you, or many of you who might not be very familiar with Oceana, it's just a contact center collection of features, snap-ins, and solutions all built on Breeze. So we got 2 examples here, recent examples of customers using Oceana already. Of course, one is our flagship, our client support services organization is now moved completely to a cloud-supported in Amazon Cloud, the Oceana platform, fully multimedia, text automation happening on there. They're deploying more and more features over the summer here, and I think by the fall we'll see some really interesting reports written up on the success they've had in moving all that into the Oceana space there. And we have a global business process outsourcer, or an outsourcer, a call center supplier here that's active in over 100 countries here with more than 2,000 multi-channel, omni-channel agents worldwide. One of our first really large success stories that we've got going there on the Oceana, even though it was only released in the fall of last year. So when we talk about, to the people here on this call, we talk about partners. I like to use this slide very often because even when I talk to Avaya organizations as well, because Avaya has talked and always talks about Avaya partners, and that's for most of you on this call representing. Avaya partners are those who level up, who get their education, who sell Avaya products here and bring them these great solutions to the market, whether you're a gold or platinum or the different levels we have in the partner organization out there. I don't want to just name it as a reseller, but that's our traditional world. A very important part of our business here is our partner community here. But when it comes to Breeze, there's different types of players that play a role here. We have the reseller, which you all will be familiar with here. Then we have the connectors, the people who are building connections with their existing solutions and just want to connect it into the Avaya Breeze platform here. And then on the right side, we'll have the real developers, those who might be using Engagement Designer, which Rasheed will be talking about in a few moments here, or maybe even programming in Java, who want to design those custom solutions for companies there. I used this slide just recently when I was in Belgium with a business partner called Nextel, and I went into the conversation knowing they've been a very long-term Breeze reseller partner here. So we went into the conversation saying, what else might be interesting for Nextel? Now, this slide is very much built for the Benelux, Netherlands area here, so please don't be upset if I left out logos of you and your countries here. But we just, to put these into context here, the resellers they're very familiar with, they're competitors in the market out there. The connector companies that are out there, some of them are extremely big ones like Salesforce and others. Some of them will be others like Engelbart or Novolink, even in Switzerland, a very recent addition to the Snappstore out there, who connected their world into our world. But then there's this new niche out there of the software vendors, these companies that many of you might not know who they are. And one of them, we're very excited today to have Kedar from GS Labs on this call to talk about some of their experience in building custom solutions also on the Breeze platform. And after my briefing with Nextel at this meeting here, we found out in the end, actually, they have their own world they want to connect to as well. And they have skills, engagement designer skills, as well as Java skills to go develop on the platform. So they see potential to move away from just being a reseller into being maybe a bit more involved with the Breeze platform. So we're expecting to see a lot of really interesting things coming from them soon. Just recently in May, last month in May, we held our first hackathon on Breeze out in Pune. A two-day event, and if you look at the numbers, nearly 500 teams competed in this competition here, building on the Zang and Breeze platforms here, 22 teams in the finals. We'll hear a little bit more, I hope, during the GS Labs portion of the call here today, because they were also involved in the event. It was a great success here, and I'm really excited. This is very fresh news to announce that in Europe, for those of you coming in here from the European region here, September, October timeframe, I should know the closer dates hopefully in the next 10 days or so, in Amsterdam, we're going to be hosting our first European hackathon. Stay tuned. There will be more information coming really soon. We're hoping to see many of you coming. One, maybe just to inform yourself what's happening on Breeze, what's possible to build on Breeze, but also maybe perhaps participating and competing in the competition now. So those who have built on Breeze here and have solutions that they want to get out into the public here, and most of you may have been hopefully familiar already with our Snappstore out there, I thought I'd bring a couple of numbers here together just to show you what's happening. One thing I learned, because I was a little confused when I see there's over 100 snap-ins. If you log into the Snappstore, you might not see that many. Is I learned there's geofencing is activated on the Snappstore. And if you're not familiar with geofencing, that means that only certain snap-ins might appear for you depending on your geographic location. The reason behind this is that certain people that are offering snap-ins there, not all of them want to support their snap-ins globally. They want to offer it only in a certain region here. So do be aware if you don't see over the 100 snap-ins. E-commerce is coming to the EU, hopefully it will be coming later this year, hopefully in the Q4 time frame here. We'll see that you then can buy and download snap-ins directly off the store here. And, of course, they're expanding into new countries in Latin America and others going forward here. So snapstore.avaya.com if you're interested. More on that. And the last thing, of course, for those who we get excited, whether it's the Nextels and they want to go try it, they don't have a lab there yet, and they want to get their hands on Breeze and Engagement Designer and see what one can do with all that, of course, you've heard about our Avaya Live Collaboratory. There's 76 labs that are hosted by Avaya. They're almost always booked out. If you are interested in getting access to it via Collaboratory there, please go to the link that's shown at the bottom of the slide there. There is always a waiting list. Sometimes it goes faster than other times there, but it's a great way to get an initial feeling for what's possible to work with the Avaya Breeze platform without having to build up your own lab yourself there. The Try Avaya Oceana is coming sometime. I hope this summer we'll be seeing Oceana appearing on it as well. And one interesting piece, if you haven't looked at it here, is the IoT Developer Kit that was built by a partner in the United States, Arrow SI. If you're not familiar with that, what that means, they've built a snap-in that you can expose in the Engagement Designer tool, which Rasheed will show us in a moment here. And you can see, you can use the components that you can access to take triggers from IoT devices to trigger on communication processes here. So Avaya Live Collaboratory, very, very successful. And since we're talking about Collaboratory, I think I'll hand it over to Markus, and then we're going to walk into some demo. Thank you.
Wonderful, Andrew. So before really handing the demo part over to Rasheed, we would like to embed this into somewhat a real-life conversation or a real-life situation, if you wish. So basically, as mentioned in the sessions last year, we really need to have a look at the use case and then the business scenario before starting to think about how can we probably solve this with a Breeze-based scenario. So the task we are going to see how Rasheed is fulfilling this in front of your eyes, basically, during this call, is a scenario coming from the medical area. So a patient is looking to find an appointment with a doctor or general practitioner. He is starting the process through a web booking page, and then as the appointment comes closer, a few days before that, we want to make sure that he's getting a reminder for his appointment. So this is going to be some automated kind of outcall. And going alongside with this, there's another confirmation going out, which can be sent out by SMS or by email with probably an option in order to reschedule the appointment if necessary, if something might have happened in the schedule of the patient. So this is kind of the whiteboarding approach that I believe is very, very interesting and very, very necessary as well when we talk to customers about Breeze-based scenarios, really putting down some process flows, putting down some of their business challenges on the whiteboard and start having these kind of conversations. What if? And basically, I'd like Rasheed to pick this up right now to take us through the demo part, and I'm releasing my screen right now, Rasheed, so that you can pick it up from here.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you can hear me.
You can go on, yeah.
Hi, so my name is Rasheed Ajibola, and I'm about to walk you through Engagement Designer. So bear with me, it's loading. So we thought, instead of us just talking about it, seeing is believing. And Markus has walked you through the use case. It's around a patient. They've engaged their doctor through a website or through a call. And now we're going to use Breeze to make a call outbound to give them an appointment reminder. Now, what you're going to see is you're going to see me trigger this manually, but in a real environment, there's a lot of different ways you can do this. It can be for a time of day, for someone calling the number, for someone opening a link. So there's all kinds of different ways to trigger workflows. So what you're seeing is I'm currently a system manager. The reason why I'm showing you system manager is I'm going to show you where our workflow will be deployed. So for now, you can see that it's empty. There's no workflow file inside there. Now we're going to go into the designer. So this is Engagement Designer. And to the left here, you have the cabinets. These are where all our tasks are. So within these cabinets are different tasks. You have tasks around Zang, tasks around work assignment, tasks around context store that draw from context store. You can create groups, tasks around real-time speech, tasks around telephonic communications. And what I really like about this environment is it's really easy to use. You don't need any Java experience, you don't need any Java expertise. It's just a nice drag and drop interface. That's pretty much it. So when creating these workflows or these applications, you have two ways of doing it. The first, over to the left, which is Java, which is coding, which takes time. It's really hard. It's prone to human error, and it takes a lot longer to get these results that we need in real time. And on the right, you have the designer, which you're looking through now, which is easier, quick, drag and drop. It's just a nice interface to use. Behind these building blocks over here, behind that block is Java, but we don't see that. All we see is a nice presentable block that makes it easier for us to code. And you have different tasks around communication, so plain announcements, recognizing speech. You also have ones around integration. So Breeze has the ability, there's a task that allows us to read and write to databases. So you can actually perform SQL queries to databases, and actually query a database, read from a database, update from a database, or do something with information from a database. So Breeze can talk to something external to it as well. Not only that, but there's another task called the call REST service. This task allows us to call on external RESTful services that are outside the Breeze environment, and allows us to send requests, whether it's a get request, get information, a post request, or a delete. We can call on something outside of Breeze and bring it into Breeze. So let's get started with the demonstration. So what you're going to see is we're going to create a workflow that starts with a call. But don't think of it as every workflow needs to start with a call. We can start a workflow with an SMS, with an email, with almost anything. So what's going to happen is we're going to make a call to a patient's number. Then after the call is made, we're going to play an announcement. So that patient will get an announcement played to them, and that announcement will notify them about their upcoming appointment. After that announcement has been played, we're going to send them an SMS. So we're going to go to notifications, and we're going to send that person an SMS and an email. And after that email, we're going to end the call. Now, if that person hangs up on the call will hang up. But on the back end, the system manager, that call will still be active. So what we do is we add a drop call in combination with an end to end this engagement. So the reason why I'm throwing this drop call there is because this is a workflow, not a call flow. If we drop this call, we can still do things afterwards. It doesn't matter. It's a workflow. We can do things before the call happens, during when the call happens, and after the call happens. This is how dynamic this environment is. Now, once we've got all our tasks together, what we simply do now is we connect the dots. And bear in mind, what I'm showing you now, there's more than one way to do what I'm showing you, but this is just a nice, easier way for everyone on the call just to understand what's going on. Okay? Even checking these lines in Java is about 4 or 5 lines of code. And what's really cool is that if I make a mistake and create a loop when there shouldn't be one, this environment, bear with me. So this environment should warn me, there you go, that I can't create this kind of loop. So let me just save it. So now we've got our tasks together. We're going to add a bit of intelligence behind this. So we start with our make call. First, we're going to choose the number we call. So this will be the call party, number that will be called, which will be my phone number. This number here will be the number that will be displayed when that call is made. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a global variable. I won't go into too much detail into what we're doing here, but we're going to create this variable with unique keys over here, and we're going to draw on this variable throughout our whole workflow because it's global. So the variable we created is a make call output. The reason why we're creating this variable is because when we make this call, this is where all the magic starts. Once we've made this call, we're now going to play the announcement. And what we're going to do is we're going to use Nuance's text-to-speech to play an announcement and turn our text into speech. So this will be the preset announcement that the patient will hear around their appointment time and around the doctor they're seeing. There's nothing stopping us from inserting a media file into this, inserting a WAV file where we should play music or an audio file. And what we're now going to do as well is that variable we made just a second ago, we're going to grab this ID here. So that UC ID string is very important. So we can have 1,000 calls coming in and out of our system, but then how do we know which call to sequence these applications onto? How do you know on this call we should play the announcement or send an SMS or send an email? We do this by using that UC ID, that unique caller ID string, and by creating a relation from one task to the next. So that once the call's been made, it knows to then play an announcement. And then once the announcement has been played, it knows to then send an SMS. And this is where we get into the app sequence. We're sequencing one app after the other, after the other, after the other. So, we're now going to send an SMS. Okay, number. Apologies. And we're going to send the patient a reminder SMS with a link so they can go and view information around their appointment times and to reschedule if they want to. Yeah. And what's really unique about this SMS task is that this task is something that's not in, so the ability to send the SMS is not native to Breeze. So Breeze can't send an SMS on its own. Very similar to what Andrew was saying earlier on about connectors. There's a connector that was created that connects an external service called WebText, you have their own external SMS service, into Breeze. So that now Breeze can send an SMS using that external service but in the Breeze environment, which I think is amazing. How we've done the SMS, we're going to send the email. So now with this email, in this Breeze lab that I'm using, in this Breeze environment, we have an email server linked to it. And this is the address of that email server. So when we send an email outbound, the receiving party of that email should receive an email from lab11@cybertree.com. And what I will do is I will add my email into this. And if you notice, this task follows the same format as an email. You have a sender, you have CC, you have BCC, the same format as an email. And I'm going to CC Markus Bornheim. Call it biomedical. And we'll send the same appointment reminder message to that email. So now that customer will receive a phone call, get an SMS, and then they go get an email reminder in case they forget. Okay. So what I want you to keep in mind is that you can do the same thing in Java. It takes a lot more time, a lot more expertise, a lot more effort. It's prone to a lot more errors. And what we want to be doing is we're going to be using engagement data because we can do this quicker, faster, and in real time. And once we've got the right workflow, we can deploy it over and over and over again and replicate that amazing workflow over and over and over again, especially when it's resolving a pain point or providing a service or enhancing the customer journey. So now I'm going to make just a mistake on purpose. So the reason why I'm going to make this mistake on purpose is I want to show you what happens when we validate. It should throw us an error, or several errors. So you can see you have errors over here. And what's caused it is that when you have a workflow, there needs to be a start and an end. Because I haven't linked this end, it's incomplete. So this environment warns us as to what's wrong, where it's wrong. It highlights the area it's referring to, and it gives us a brief breakdown. And if we need more help, there's more documentation around this, and more help around what these messages mean within this environment. So you have a nice, easy-to-use environment that coaches you on how to use it, and that allows you to deploy real-time applications easily. So now we're going to deploy this, and we're going to watch it happen in real time. So we're going to deploy this in System Manager as a Java SVAR file. And again, what's even more cool is you can actually import and export workflows. If I have workflow and you have a workflow, I can export it as an XML file, email it to you, because it's very small and lightweight, and you can load it in your engagement designer as well. And this message we're seeing is showing us that it's uploaded it into System Manager as a SVAR file. Okay? So, now we're in System Manager. Let's refresh. Or let's come out and go back in. What we should now see is that our workflow has been uploaded. There you go. Perfect. So what we're now going to do is we're going to deploy this in real time. Now, where I've gone to is we've gone to the System Manager Admin Console, and this Admin Console is where we can view all our workflows that have been deployed historically. We can view all the archived workflows. You can view what's happened, what's airing, what's terminating, and it allows us to troubleshoot and manage what we deploy in real time. Let's refresh. So let's deploy this now. So what's going to happen is I'm going to push a button and I'm going to force this workflow to start. And as I mentioned earlier on, you have many different kinds of workflows. You have a workflow that will lay in wait, and this workflow is asleep. Think of it like a zombie, it's asleep. And once it hears something, once it hears that event, that trigger, it wakes up and starts doing something. That trigger could be a word being said on a conversation. It could be a phone call. It could be a time of day, a link being pushed, someone opening an application. It could be almost anything. But for the purpose of this demo, I'll force it to happen manually. Now we can actually watch this happen in real time. So you see, it's ringing my phone now.
Welcome to our
Orange is in process.
Cares about the health of our patients. Good morning.
Green is complete.
Hope you are well. This is a warm hello from Avian Medical in the Guilford branch. Marcus, this is a reminder around your appointment to see Dr. Strachman on the 25th of June, 2017. You will receive an SMS with all appointment details and a confirmation email. If you want to reschedule, please follow the link within the email.
Now we're jumping through one task after the other task after the other task after the other task. So when we deploy this workflow, you can watch it come to life in real time. Green means complete, orange means in process, and red means error. And if I actually go into this task, over here, so it shows that at the start of this call, you grab that UCID. Not only that, but I've now received the SMS, and I'm going to show you on my phone the SMS that's been received. The time here in the UK, 10:30, and this is the receipt. This is the SMS with the link as well. And Marcus, you should receive an email in a minute. Thank you very much, guys. Hope you enjoyed the demonstration. Over to you, Marcus.
Thank you very much, Rasheed. So I am going to share my screen again. And the first thing that you're probably going to see when I share my screen is that here is the email that I got from Collaboratory with the notification from within the process that was just set up by Rasheed. Right. So that was a cool story, Rasheed. So building a doctor's appointment notification application with Breeze Collaboratory basically within 10 minutes. This is really a very, very fast way in order to communication enable your application. Thank you, Rasheed, for that. And let's move back to the next part of the session right now. What's new in Breeze? And I'm not going to tell you what new features we have, what new snap-ins we have, but basically give you an overview of the chronology of events that was happening between last year's sessions in summer and where we are right now. So you might have seen and you remember that during summer and fall we had activities of bringing Oceana into the market. And Oceana is basically an additional specialized framework of contact center applications around Breeze and built on top of Breeze. And this is probably one of the biggest market introductions and the most relevant market introductions we had during the past fiscal year. So that was in the summer and fall period. And now in March 2017, Breeze 3.3 was released with a special focus on contact customers. Whilst within the first releases of Breeze, we did already have some elements from within the contact center space, like the contact store snap-in and the work assignment snap-in, and the general necessary platform in order to build Breeze and to create applications in Breeze. We now have, with the introduction of Oceana, a full stack of elements give us much more detail, that give us much more capabilities and access to other channels as well in the contact center space. So we have the unified mobile, the unified agent controller application snap-in. We have the mobile communication snap-in. Chatbot is coming more and more into focus as well. Co-browsing and emails, so to have the non-voice contact channels embedded completely. So that was probably the most relevant start which we could see in here in 2017. Beyond that, there were some more architectural enhancements which are not obvious and which are not new features, if you wish, but which bring a higher level of platform maturity into the market and a higher element of security aspects into this environment. And last but not least, to point you to another product area or services area that we see in here is Zang. Some of you might be aware of Zang, which is a completely web-based communications platform, which is basically an open-ended platform with APIs that you can start building your own solutions around this. And Zang Workflow is the representation of Breeze in that Zang environment. So if you start looking at the website, www.zang.io, and you look at Zang Workflow, you will find screens that are very, very similar to the screens that you've just seen when Rasheed demonstrated Collaboratory. So I think these are, from the Breeze platform perspective, the most relevant ones. But probably not only for me, but maybe for many of you as well, the most exciting one is Breeze Client SDK. So what is Breeze Client SDK about? Breeze Client SDK is something that brings the interaction with the users of a communication platform into Breeze. So while Breeze Snap-in itself is purpose-built automation and improving business workflows, the front end to that is, well, how do I represent new capabilities and new features that I'm building on the Breeze platform on the front end level? So we see that there's a lot of new software front ends that have been released over the past year around Equinox and also the Oceana desktop. Both of them are built on Breeze Client SDK. So this SDK is an open approach where partners can differentiate themselves with what they offer to their customers from the competition by really building new applications and creating new desktop clients which are purpose-built for whatever reasons you would want to need a new or a specially created client. So it's about giving access to standard features like conferencing for voice, video, screen sharing, and chat, but also integrating team engagement capabilities around presence and call control, up to creating new front-end applications around the customer services environment, adding access to agent features that are well known from the contact center space to basically create or recreate a completely new contact center client, if you wish. So Breeze Client SDK is well represented already on the Avaya DevConnect web pages with nice overviews and quick starting videos and other documents that give you insight into what the capabilities are. And this basically is another approach with having Breeze in the back of your proposition probably already, in order to build your own company's business proposition and give access to the capabilities that a company might have developed in specific areas, in specific verticals, to really do more than just reselling an Avaya solution, but really recreating some of the workflows and some of the access points that you would want to have for your customers to interact with the full solution. So we have been seeing early adopters of this Client SDK already creating development partner profiles together with Avaya here. One of them, GS Lab, will be following up on this slide here, introducing what they do in and around Breeze and Client SDK. Others like Teamsun or DigiValet have started this kind of process as well with these one-pagers to really give an overview of what the capabilities of the company in that specific environment are. But it's not only these kind of, let's say, official development partner profiles that you can use in order to promote the work that you're doing. You can do things like, well, everyone can do, starting to play with the tools, starting to create new applications on software, desktops, or on the new Vantage smartphone, where you can really build and try what you can do, and in order to give visibility into the world how you can do this, you can just start creating a video from it, like Engelbart Software has been doing, and showcasing this video on YouTube in here. So there's multiple ways really to get your value proposition into the market and move forward with that. And that's probably a good opportunity here to hand over to Kedar from GS Lab, giving us an overview how the GS Lab approach was working within Breeze and Client SDK. Kedar, handing over to you, and I'm much excited to hear what GS Lab have done over the past 12 to 18 months with Breeze and Client SDK.
Sure. Thank you, Markus. It has been a great experience working with the Avaya Breeze CSDK. I'll just speak briefly about what GS Lab is. We are a 13-year-old organization. We build custom softwares for our end customers. And we do a lot of work in the IoT space and the communication space. We quickly realized that, for all the use cases that we were looking at, most of the clients or the customers were looking at unified communication backbone in some form or the other in order for the application softwares to really appeal to the customers. Speaking about, and from there we started looking at we had a 2-year-long engagement with Avaya. So we looked at the client SDK, which was on Breeze, and through there we were able to have our own vision. And so speaking about the vision here, the real value today lies in developing newer and better applications without having to sacrifice any of the legacy apps which are doing their jobs well. There's a growing need of product development and system integration services to solve complex business problems like we have. I mean, take any custom industry and they have their own specific issues, and then we can think of solving them by simply using Breeze's Client SDK, or even the Android CSDK or the iOS SDK, which is available today publicly for us to play around with. Connected solutions, or the world of IoT, has many such use cases, and communication becomes an immensely needed backbone for them. Connected solutions increase customer engagement and understanding with the millennials today want and they crave for. Certainly opens up a lot of options for us to work with. So we decided to look at what we need to do. We were able to develop a couple of smart applications that work like a magic wand to solve today's complex business problems. So let's look at one of the applications that we developed as part of our very early initiatives. Apart from creating a Breeze snap-in that we have deployed on the production Snappstore, we started working with the Android SDK, and we worked on a retail use case. So one such app that we developed was a smart retail app that tries to engage a customer and provide relevant information about the product which is available on the sale or on display in a mall. You can simply imagine a window shopper who is just passing by and suddenly see something cool and probably there's a sale on it. He wants to know more about the product and also the kind of offers that may go along with that. That is a pretty enticing, engaging story. You see on this slide here, we have the left-hand side shows the customer side of the application, which would be on a mobile device. We also have associated an IoT story to it where we engage with the customer. The very first engagement with the customer happens through the Bluetooth beacon. So if a customer is spending some time standing in front of a product, and depending on the time he spends, we believe that he or she may be interested in a product. And we initiate a chatbot or a voice bot conversation that you can see on the screen in between. Now, once the conversation goes on, there is the customer gets to answer a few questions that set the context for the final purchase, wherein a product expert gets auto-dialed based on the customer's choice to proceed with the additional help on this purchase. The customer representative or the expert who may be operating remotely or away from somewhere where the customer is can then enable the in-store purchase via the application. He or she has the option to check out the product using a smartphone. And out here you see that there's a video conversation that happens between the customer and the executive. The executive also gets a view of what are the kind of questions or what the user's interests are, and then if there's a loyalty program associated to it, he can take care of those. And then in the end, he can moving over to the next slide. In the end, he can actually push it over, complete the entire purchase, and let the user actually complete the purchase. And when the customer actually visits, goes to his billing counter, he can have the product ready for his dispatch and simply just walk out without having to spend time in the queues at the billing counter. So that's a pretty compelling use case. And of course, there are multiple facets that one can think of adding into this existing one. With that, we'll move on to the next use case. Let's move over to the next slide. Now, this one here is targeting a healthcare vertical. Now, this was an important use case that we came across, and we wanted to address a real-time need of what today is very critical from the healthcare industry standpoint. So with the recent regulatory norms and the focus on enabling excellent patient care even after the patient has been discharged makes it more critical for the hospitals to stay connected with their patients even after they've been discharged. Having said that, keeping a tab on such patients who may be living remotely all by themselves, it makes things even more complicated. So we can imagine, certain triggers. Now, imagine what if the patient needs an emergency attention, has no one around him. Certain critical conditions can be tracked using such an application that resides on the patient's device, on an Android device like this, to capture events like a distress shout for help, or if the patient's taking a fall, or simply having a surveillance camera which keeps an eye on the patient's facial expressions. If the facial pain expressions are on the higher side, there can be an auto conference initiated. Similarly, you can imagine a wearable device that a patient may be carrying on him, and any anomaly that is noticed in a patient's health conditions, for example, a blood pressure shooting up or the pulse rate going simply too high. These are emergency conditions where a patient definitely needs an attention. Now, here are some of the challenges that we came across. So some of the challenges that we feel is that the patient really does not know when to really engage a doctor, when to really call a doctor. Something like suddenly there's a spike in the health parameters. He doesn't know. It would be great if one could really club all the numbers that need to be dialed in case of an emergency. This app actually provides you with multiple such features. And moving over to the next slide, Marcus. Yeah, sure. On this slide, we see that there's a tracking device. If a tracking device notices an abnormal change, a conference call could get initiated automatically. If a patient takes a fall, again, the same responses. You want the emergency response team to get immediately engaged. Let's go on to the next one. Here, if a patient really shouts for help, he is not in a position to actually look into his phone book and dial out a specific number. He can simply just shout out, and the pre-configured group gets auto-dialed, and an emergency response team gets into action. Let's move on to the next one. Right. So this is where you see that the left-hand screen is a patient, and the patient then gets conferenced with an emergency response team and a patient's emergency contact number, and all of them could get into a conference and initiate some medical response activities and try to save a patient's life. So this is a life-saving application that we came up with, and it received a lot of traction from the healthcare industry. Markus, let's move on.
Yes, coming.
Sure. Thank you. Well, apart from just these key triggers, there's also an essential utility that comes along with such an application. The patient could routinely be given reminders about taking prescribed medicines, recording and reporting the sugar levels or the blood pressure levels, and many other such use cases can be thought of, and they can be embedded into this utility application. Let's move on to the next one.
I think this was, last one.
Thank you. So this is where we're trying to really put together all of this, how all of these things came together. These apps that I just talked about here had many features, and stitching together the entire story with the help of client SDK on Breeze platform was pretty easy for a developer community. And I'm sure with engagement designer like tools, it's even more simpler. Simply just drag and drop. You don't have to be a tech savvy for that matter. So the use cases can be many, and the flexibility of building custom solutions using Avaya is a lot more simpler. And so apart from just these use cases, like Andrew mentioned at the beginning, that we at GS Lab, we also participated in the hackathon that happened here. The hackathon use cases were predominantly to be built around the Vantage, which is an Android tablet device, Avaya's latest and greatest product, which has been recently launched. We try to come up with some convincing use cases on top of it. The first one that we thought of was, an insurance company use case, wherein we thought of, a lifeguard insurance company, a company that shares an app with its customers. A customer who meets with an accident, he needs an emergency assistance, or he may need, like a towing assistance, or maybe a medical assistance. What happens here is that this customer could actually then initiate a call automatically once a trigger like this is sensed. The agent from the insurance company then actually gets onto a call. He provides the required help, tries to make sure that the customer is safe, and then provide him with the required attentions and stuff like that. So on real time, he gets to know the location coordinates, where the customer could be, what are the immediate concerns. Alternately, the customer can also take videos and photos and upload it back via the application, so that it makes it more easier for the insurance company to claim for claim processing and stuff like that. So that was the application which won the first prize at the hackathon. The next application that we thought of was for an emergency response team. Wherein if a patient is undergoing, he is undergoing a medical emergency condition, he initiates a call. The hospital, which also has got the Avaya infrastructure and the Breeze platform, immediately gets engaged, and they can try and assist. the patient who's undergoing a problem at this point in time. They could also assist him with an emergency ambulance service. An ambulance is engaged. Once the ambulance is engaged, it receives the coordinate details of the patient and immediately starts on the journey. Once the patient is picked, it also needs the local traffic agencies to be informed about clearing up the traffic so that the patient gets a smooth pass through, and then he can be brought to the hospital. All of this can be tracked live on using the Google Map APIs that we have integrated on this platform. The hospital is also ready, waiting for the ambulance to arrive and then give immediate assistance to the patient. So this is a life-saving application that we came up with, which won the second prize. And these were really good use cases. And one can think of many such use cases and build on top of via Breeze and various SDKs that have been currently launched. I think that's all from my end. Thank you, Andrew. Over to you, Markus.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kela. Okay, this shows very impressively that you basically need to start thinking about what can be achieved, and then you start building a plan how you can achieve these kind of use cases and solve challenges with Breeze environment and probably also with Breeze Client SDK.